Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Nick, R.I.P, from young and unrestful to dead and buried. And here we thought that champagne was for happy occasions. Not always, it turns out. In the July 24th episode of The Young and the Restless, Nick used a bottle of bubbly to take a swing at the goon, keeping him under house arrest with disastrous consequences. What took place with Nick? Sharon picked the door lock in an effort to escape. But, of course, a wall-sized guard was waiting on the other side of it. Nick tried to fight the guy and, how to put it, failed. Badly. He even tried to blow up Carter's henchman with a champagne bottle. When all was said and done, Nick was bleeding badly, and a desperate Sharon quickly retrieved Billy to perform first aid. Here's hoping he has better luck keeping Nick alive than any company has ever run. Jack and Billy confront the truth. Jack and Diane were having a heated conversation about Billy in their sleeping car. Jack was starting to lose faith in his brother as Billy's recent behavior seemed erratic. Billy was making increasingly risky choices, Jack acknowledged to Diane, including his desire to confront Victor and Jill without a solid strategy. Jack couldn't shake the feeling that he had been helping Billy, so Diane tried to remind him of how much he had done for his brother. Read this. When everyone returns to Genoa City, what happens? Victor demands the truth. Victor cornered Carter as the tension between them ramped up. The powerful businessman was on a mission to get the truth about what was really happening behind the scenes, especially regarding Nick's arrest. Carter was pushed hard by Victor, who was unsure of his role in the situation and wondered if he had helped Nick get caught. Carter, however, remained steadfast in his loyalty to Kane, insisting that he was innocent and had no hand in any of the actions that led to Nick's confinement. But Victor wasn't buying it. He didn't trust anyone associated with Kane, suspecting that Carter's blind loyalty could have led him to cover up for his boss. The tension between the two men reached a boiling point as Victor implied that Carter might be helping cover up a much larger conspiracy, possibly involving more than just Nick's imprisonment. Carter denied all allegations, stating that he owed everything to Kane for rescuing him from a tough past and that he would never betray him. Victor wasn't ready to let Carter off the hook. He warned Carter that if he was indeed involved in something underhanded, the consequences would be severe. Still, Carter remained firm, refusing to implicate Kane and vowing to stay loyal to his benefactor. Nick's injury, Victor's fury, Carter's questioning. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, July 24, 2025, have been released. Chance Chancellor and Victor Newman are likely to become suspicious of Carter, according to fans. In the meantime, Nick Newman gets hurt trying to get away. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the next episode of the CBS soap opera. Victor Newman's interrogation. Let's start off with Victor, who has been following Carter around. By locking Nick and Sharon Newman up in a storage room, Carter placed them under house arrest. They haven't found a way to escape yet, but people are becoming aware that Carter did something to Nick and Sharon. This includes Victor, who will demand answers. Carter should sit down for a brief conversation with Chance and Victor. The assistant admits he will do anything for Aristotle Dumas or Kane Ashby. Instead of questioning Amanda Sinclair, he should be confronting Carter. The video probably went missing from that person. Read more. Find out what happened on the last episode of Y&R. Carter's excuse. Carter will insist that he didn't kill Damian Kane. Victor simply desires his son's release at this point. Having said that, Carter might refuse to reveal to Chance and Victor where he has Schick. Nick Newman injured. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, July 24th reveal that Nick will try to find a way to escape. Given Nick's knowledge, he might attempt to break down the door himself and injure himself. Will Nick die? Though Billy, who apparently recently binged The Pit and therefore is full of medical knowledge, did his best to patch Nick up, he told Sharon that her former spouse needed medical help, stat. Even if Sharon hiked down the mountain, she'd never make it back in time to save Nick, Billy reckoned. But is this really the end for Joshua Morrow's long-running alter ego? Doubtful. As the actor told Soaps.com when reflecting on his early days in Genoa City, Victor and Nikki's son is obviously a cornerstone of the show and a huge part of this main family. I mean, some longevity was sort of baked into it. I could stay as long as I wanted pretty much, he continued, assuming staying long-term was What I wanted to do, was responsible, showed up on time, and was efficient. Would Morrow want to leave? Fortunately, there are no signs that Morrow wants to move on. As he's told us, I couldn't want to be famous less, and for all intents and purposes, I'm not. Nobody cares what I do in this town. I don't have to worry about that because there are a lot more people who are more famous and interesting. So this is an incredible way to provide for my family, to make a great living and to be in a job that is very fulfilling that lets me work with incredible people, he added. It's really been just like the Powerball of jobs as far as I'm concerned. Would Morrow want to leave? Fortunately, there are no signs that Morrow wants to move on. As he's told us, I couldn't want to be famous less, and for all intents and purposes, I'm not. In this town, what I do is of no consequence. There are far, far more people who are way more famous and interesting, so I can live my life and not have to worry about that. He continued, so this is an incredible way to provide for my family, make a great living, and be in a job that is very fulfilling and allows me to work with incredible people. It's really been just like the Powerball of jobs as far as I'm concerned. Almost Dying changes Nick's heart, goes all in on Sharon reunion? The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Almost Dying could change Nick Newman's heart. Will Nick fully commit to a Sharon Newman reunion due to his near-death experience? Y&R fans know Nick was there for Sharon throughout all the fatal Heather Stevens drama. Nick had faith in Sharon and refused to give up until her name was cleared. Sharon's feelings for Nick grew stronger during that time, but he ultimately insisted they should stick to friendship. It is abundantly clear that Sharon still desires more, so it is only a matter of Nick's ability to come to the same conclusion. Nick helped ride to the rescue during Sharon's clinic storyline with Martin Laurent as well, but now he's the one facing life and death stakes. Thanks to Nick getting seriously wounded in the July 23rd episode, he's facing major blood loss. Nick's survival is in jeopardy, and that could turn into a powerful reminder of how much he has to lose. Sharon and Nick have already been bonding over their hostage situation, but Nick's near-death experience could strengthen that bond even more. Nick will undoubtedly survive this crisis, but he may change afterward. Nick should re-evaluate his life and what he wants from it at this point, it seems. Nick may realize the significance of making the most of every moment once he has recovered from this ordeal. Perhaps Nick could decide he doesn't want to keep spinning his wheels with Sharon and wasting time when they could be a couple again. Nick might convince Sharon that true love is worth the risk by pushing for a real, long-term future together. Do you think Nick may need a major wake-up call? Will Almost Dying be enough to spark an epiphany and make Nick realize Sharon is his soulmate? The Young and the Restless spoilers say Nick may make some updates to his perspective after this whole nightmare in Nice, so stay tuned to see if that'll mean good news for Sharon. What happened on Y&R today? Nick fights for freedom and pays the price. Sharon and Nick struggle for freedom. Nick and Sharon were determined to break free, locked away with no clear way out. Sharon's quick thinking saved the day as she managed to pick the lock to their cell. But when a guard came up to them, things changed dramatically. Nick fought back vigorously, but he was not spared. In fact, he was left badly injured, with blood pouring from a wound that left him barely conscious. Sharon's desperate attempts to help him only highlighted the gravity of the situation. She urged him to stay awake and remain strong, but with limited options, it became clear that their escape plan had just hit a major roadblock. Nick's injury left Sharon in a difficult position as she tried to care for him while figuring out their next move. Find out what happens next on Y&R. Kyle confronts Audra over her games. In the maze, Kyle came face to face with Audra. He called her out for her manipulative behavior, accusing her of sabotaging his relationship with Claire. Audra attempted to defend her actions, insisting she had only been vulnerable, but Kyle wasn't having any of it. He mocked her, saying she had overplayed her hand and that no one would believe her version of events. The back and forth between them escalated quickly, with Kyle clearly unconvinced by Audra's excuses. He was certain that her attempts to get out of this situation would fail and that her career was over. Audra tried to shift the conversation, claiming Kyle's real fear was that he wasn't good enough for Claire, but Kyle remained unshaken. Audra's attempts to play the victim only strengthened his resolve. He was not backing down. Could Audra defeat Kyle? As many are starting to believe that Carter is the one behind Damien's demise, it sounds like he'll be the one confronted. So, what will Carter have to say once he's cornered? Nick Newman's plan backfires. Across the chateau, Nick Newman will try to escape his predicament. However, the plan will backfire. It appears that he will attempt to escape while Sharon Newman and he are under house arrest somewhere in Kane's summer home. But something will go wrong. Unfortunately, preview photos show Nick getting injured, as both Sharon and Sally Spectra tend to his wound. The good news is that if Sally is around, it looks like Nick and Sharon will escape. However, here's hoping Nick's injury isn't overly serious. Read more. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Claire's fury over Kyle's makeout trap and Audra's kiss. The tough decision of Jack Abbott finally. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday. Note that Jack Abbott will make a tough decision that concerns his younger brother, Billy Abbott. Jack may believe that it is time to end all ties with his brother now that Billy and Phyllis Summers are fully committed to the #Team Kane fan club. After all, Jack has a very bad feeling where Kane Ashby is concerned. While he's likely going to pull funding from Abbott Communications, will Jack also decide to boot Billy out of the family, entirely? Can he do that? Then again, this tough decision might be about the whole Kyle Abbott, Audra Charles and Victor deal, so fans will need to tune in to find out. A desperate swing and a deadly mistake. The moment came fast and furious. After Sharon used her sharp mind and picked the lock on the room they were trapped in, freedom should have been just a few steps away. On the other side, however, was a Carter-proved human tank. Nick, being Nick, did what anyone would expect of a Newman. He fought. But the man he fought wasn't just a generic guard. He was Carter's man, loyal, trained, and utterly unforgiving. Nick grabbed the nearest object, a bottle of celebratory champagne, and took a swing, hoping for the kind of miracle daytime soap fans love. Nick's body was crumpled on the floor and his blood was soaking through his shirt as a result of the bottle breaking and the failed blow. It wasn't supposed to end this way. But maybe that's the point, maybe something is ending. Not Nick's life, but the life he knew. Sharon's fear, Billy's desperation, and the countdown to death. While Sharon fought to keep Nick conscious, her hands shaking, her voice cracking, her heart in full-blown panic mode, there was one clear realization. Nick wasn't going to make it unless something changed fast. Enter Billy. He's no doctor, but in a classic soap twist, he apparently watched enough medical dramas on streaming to attempt first aid. But Billy's not a miracle worker. He made it very clear to Sharon, if she left now to hike down the mountain for help, Nick would be dead before she made it back. The camera panned to Nick's pale face, and in that moment, fans collectively stopped breathing. Was this it? Was this the end? A legend lost? Not likely, but never say never. As Joshua Morrow, the man behind Nick Newman, told Soaps.com, longevity was baked into his role. Victor and Nikki's son has been through heartbreak, fire, floods, explosions, and more cheating scandals than we can count. He said, "This is the Powerball of jobs," emphasizing how balanced and fulfilling life has been on Y&R. So is he leaving? Highly unlikely. However, this will still be a significant turning point. Joshua Morrow has made it abundantly clear that he will not be leaving the soap opera, as soap deaths rarely last unless the actor wishes to leave. He likes his job, avoids fame, and values the life he's built around Genoa City. This isn't a swan song, it's a reset. Reunited, sock? Near-death awakens true love. Now for the big question. Could this be the thing that brings Sharon and Nick back together for real this time? Sharon has always been Nick's torchbearer, and this is no secret. Their bond has been one of the most enduring in Y&R history, from high school sweethearts to co-parents, to exes, to allies, to something more than friends, but never quite back to forever. It's possible that Nick's near-death experience will provide him with the final push he needs to stop spinning his wheels and tell Sharon what she already knows. Their love story isn't over. They've faced betrayals, illnesses, kidnappings, cults, even literal ghosts. But when Sharon cradled his injured body and whispered, "Don't you dare leave me," every longtime fan could feel it. This was real. This was them. And this could be the beginning of something again. Victor's wrath and Carter's cracking mask. Meanwhile, Victor Newman isn't sitting quietly in his tower. The moment he heard about his son's condition, something in him snapped. You could see it in the way he glared at Carter, each question a bullet, each silence more damning than the last. Carter tried to play the loyalty card, the same card he's used to protect Kane and erase the digital evidence of Damian Kane's death, but Victor isn't having it. "You hurt my son," he all but growled. "And I will burn this world to the ground to make you pay." It's the kind of threat only Victor can deliver, and Carter knows it. His composure is fraying, his confidence thinning. And as Victor teams up with Chance, the net around Carter and by extension, Kane begins to tighten. New suspects, old loyalties, and a conspiracy unraveling. Let's not forget the larger picture. Damian Kane is still dead, and someone killed him. Carter is now in the hot seat, and even if he didn't pull the trigger, his role in the cover-up is undeniable. The footage is gone, Amanda's being misled, and Kane's secrets are starting to leak. Chance and Victor's interrogation isn't just about saving Nick anymore, it's about exposing the rot beneath the surface. With Carter cracking and Kane becoming more paranoid, it's only a matter of time before the truth comes out. And at what point? Genoa City will never be the same. Sally, Billy, and the web of rescue. Let's not overlook the unexpected players in this saga, Sally Spectra and Billy Abbott. Sally's presence during Nick's injury hints at future shifts, maybe even romantic ones. Or is she there to prove that she can be more than a wild card? Billy, ever the unpredictable force, jumps in with a blend of heroism and recklessness. But Jack sees the writing on the wall. With Billy aligning himself with Kane, Jack may be preparing to cut him loose personally, professionally, and emotionally. What happens when Jack turns his back on Billy? And more importantly, is Billy truly on Kane's side, or just lost in another one of his noble but disastrous quests? Kyle and Audra, distraction or dangerous side plot? In a parallel storm, Kyle confronts Audra in a tense face-off filled with venom and unresolved tension. While Nick bleeds and Sharon pleads, Kyle's drama with Audra and Claire feels like a slow-burning fuse waiting to explode. Is Audra playing victim or puppet master? Is Kyle just deflecting from his guilt? And could Claire's inevitable discovery of Kyle's betrayal tie directly into Victor's grander scheme? Don't count this subplot out, especially when Victor's involved. When he is in charge, nothing is accidental. The legacy at risk. Will the Newmans shatter or solidify? With Nick down, Sharon spiraling, Victor furious, and Victoria mysteriously absent, the Newman family is on shaky ground. Add in a murder, a corporate war, and an attempted cover-up, and you have a perfect storm. But crises like this often serve to unite what's been broken. Could this trauma reunite Nick and Sharon, force Victor to re-examine his alliances, and push the Newmans back into fighting form? Or will it just mark the beginning of a long, tragic fall? Final thoughts: the death of Nick, or the rebirth of everything he stands for? Legacy characters in The Young and the Restless are not killed lightly. And despite the ominous R.I.P, Nick headlines, this isn't the end. It's a transformation. Of Nick. Of Sharon. Of the Newman family. And of the war still to come. Nick will live, that much we're willing to bet on. But the man who wakes up after this ordeal won't be the same one who raised a champagne bottle in desperation. He'll be someone new. Someone changed. And that version of Nick Newman might just be the most dangerous and most powerful one yet. Stay tuned. Genoa City is just getting started. For a man who's walked through fire, faced down ruthless rivals, and built an empire in the shadow of the great Victor Newman, near death was supposed to be just another Thursday for Nick Newman. But this time, something shattered inside him. The moment his life hung by a thread, with blood on his hands and a pounding in his ears, all the noise fell away. No power, no business, no vendetta mattered anymore. Just one name pulsed through his fading consciousness: Sharon. Chelsea, Phyllis, and Sally are not the ones. Sharon. The one constant in a life full of chaos and false starts. As he lay there, body broken from the brutal fight that nearly killed him, Nick saw her face in flashes, moments of joy, heartbreak, passion, and forgiveness, all the years they danced around each other, lovers, enemies, soulmates. And as Sharon burst through the door, trembling with the horror of almost losing him, her tears fell not just from fear, but from knowing deeply, instinctively, that she still loved this man. That part of her had never stopped. And Nick? He knew it too. No more walls. No more entanglements. No more pretending they had moved on. Almost dying forced him to confront what he's been running from all along. Sharon is his home. So when he finally opened his eyes in that hospital bed, heart monitors beeping like an orchestra of second chances, he didn't hesitate. He took her hand and whispered the one truth that had kept him alive: "Don't let go." And Sharon, her voice catching in her throat, replied, I never did. From that moment, Nick vowed not to waste another second on what ifs. He shut down Sally's flirtation, sidestepped Phyllis's manipulations, and even faced Victor's raised eyebrow with bold defiance. He wasn't asking for permission anymore, he was reclaiming his life. Even though she was cautious, Sharon couldn't help but feel the change. The man before her was different. Gentler, clearer, raw with regret but also overflowing with love. And as they sat on the Crimson Lights patio, sipping coffee under the same fairy lights that once witnessed their young, reckless love, it felt like no time had passed at all. But in truth, everything had changed. Because Nick wasn't playing the field or weighing his options. He was all in. No pretense. No games. Just a man brought back from the edge, finally realizing that the only thing worth fighting for is the woman who never stopped believing in the good inside him. Now the question is, will Sharon take the leap with him? Or will old wounds, meddling family members, and buried secrets pull them apart once again? This isn't just a passing flurry, for sure. This is a full-blown second chance. And this time, Nick's not letting go.